The male thumb on the admissions scale. What a title, right? It's pretty provocative. Today, we're going to dig into what that actually means and why it's such a huge and kind of controversial topic in higher education. And really, this whole conversation blew up because of this headline. Imagine being a former dean of admissions at a top college and writing an article titled, "To All the Girls I've Rejected." I mean, wow. That just makes you stop in your tracks, right? You have to ask, why? Why on earth would she say that? And that headline really just tees up the central mystery we're looking at. Because the evidence seems to show that at some of America's very best private colleges, it's just plain harder for women to get in. Even with similar grades, similar test scores, it's tougher. So what is going on here? Okay, so to figure this out, we have to follow the data. Let's look at the numbers, because honestly, they tell a story you might not expect. And here's the bottom line. Statistically speaking, at a whole bunch of these private colleges, if you're a guy applying, your chances of getting in are, well, they're just better. Even if your application looks a lot like a female applicant's, you've got a better shot. It's as simple as that. All right, let's make this real. Take Vassar College, great school. Back in fall 2020, they accepted 28% of the men who applied. But for women, only 23%. Now, 5% might not sound like a ton, but in the hyper-competitive world of college admissions, that is a huge, huge gap. And look, this isn't some weird Vassar-only thing. You might even think, oh, Vassar used to be an all-women's school, maybe that's why, but nope. We see the same kind of thing at other schools, like Kenyon College, which used to be all-male. So this is not an anomaly, it's a pattern.
Okay, so the big question is why? Why are colleges doing this? Well, it all boils down to what people in the admissions world call the gender balance dilemma.
And let's go back to that admissions dean, Jennifer Delahunty. She explains it like this. She says once your school becomes, in her words, decidedly female, something strange happens. Not only do fewer men want to go there, but fewer women do too. It's this weird paradox. Basically, the colleges are worried about their brand. Their biggest fear is that if the campus becomes, say, 60% women and 40% men, or even more skewed, then applications from everybody will start to drop. And that's bad for business, bad for their reputation. So what do? They try to engineer the numbers to get closer to that 50-50 sweet spot. But wait a second. Your first thought here has to be, isn't that illegal? I mean, you can't just discriminate based on sex, right? That's against the law. It's the most logical question to ask. And the answer is, well, it's complicated, and it's hiding in the fine print of a very famous federal law. We're talking about a loophole in Title IX.
So everyone knows Title IX, right? The huge 1972 law that says you can't discriminate based on sex in education programs. But here's the kicker. There's a specific exemption written right into the law. It carves out undergraduate admissions for private colleges. Now, the original idea was to protect schools that were still all-male or all-female. But the side effect? It gives all these co-ed private schools the legal green light to use gender as a factor when they're deciding who gets in.
This got so much attention that back in 2009, the U.S. Commission on Civil Rights actually started a formal investigation. One of the commissioners literally called it purposeful discrimination. But then, poof. 2 years later, the whole thing was just dropped. The official line was inadequate data. But a lot of people think the real reason was that nobody wanted to deal with what this whole situation really meant. But you know what? To really get why this is even a thing, we need to take a step back, a big step back, because this isn't really a college admissions story at all. The real story starts way, way earlier. Think about it like this. The admissions bias against women, that's just the symptom. The actual disease, the root cause, is this massive achievement gap that starts in elementary and middle school. It's a gap where, for a whole host of reasons, boys are falling behind girls in the classroom. And the data on this it's just crystal clear. The imbalance in the college applicant pool is a mirror image of what's happening in high school. On average, girls get better grades. They do way better in reading and verbal skills. And guess what? Those verbal skills are one of the biggest predictors of whether someone even goes to college in the first place. So, let's go back to that investigation that got dropped. Why did it just disappear? Well, the writer Hannah Rosen has a pretty compelling theory. She says it's because digging into this would force everyone to admit something really uncomfortable, that when it comes to school, it's actually the boys who are struggling. It's the boys who need the help. And this is where we get to the real heart of the matter. Dean Delahunty, she just puts it out there. She says, is there a thumb on the scale for boys? Absolutely. She's not hiding it. But then she asks the million-dollar question. Is that right or wrong? Is it fair to use college admissions as a tool?
a kind of affirmative action for boys, to fix a problem that started a decade earlier in first grade.
So that's where we'll leave it. It's a tough one. If giving boys a leg up in college admissions is really just a band-aid, and a controversial one at that, then what's the real fix? How do we actually solve this education gap for boys? Not when they're 18 and applying to college, but back where it all starts,